Hello, I'm Dori Nando. You can catch up with all the fun on the Cosmopolitan Mix and on all our shows via podcast. Just go to My Joy Online podcast and search for your favorite show and relive those moments all over again. Only on Joy 99.7 FM, radio for discerning listeners.
Super Hits Radio, Joy 99.7.
To our first story now, and the Teachers and Educational Workers Union has given government a 2-week ultimatum to resolve current challenges facing the union. The group says it is not satisfied with an 8% salary increase offered by government. It's insisting it wants nothing less than 18%. General Secretary of TEU, Mark Cranche, joins us via Zoom for more on this development. Mr. Cranche, thank you very much for joining us on News Desk. Now, you are insisting that you want an 18% increase. That is contrary to what government has offered you. What do you feel is the next step? Are you open to deliberation on this matter? Mr. Cranche, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Great. Thank you for joining us. Now, the question is, you are insisting, Teu, that you want nothing short of 18% by way of increment. That is not so far what government has able to come up with. We're talking about 8% here. Now, what do you think can be done to mitigate the gulf between what you have and what government is proposing?
Thank you very much in regards to your service listeners. But the bit of a correction, we are not asking for 18% salary increase. We went to the negotiation table with a proposal for a non-basic allowance of 18%. But that is not an entrenched position to say, because we have even moved far beyond that. A technical committee was set up by the Minister for Employment and Labor Relations. And the technical committee met and looked at all the options, including our proposal and then government's proposal. And we came out with a recommendation that appears to be let me say, each person has given in something. So we have come to a compromise sitting kind of. And so that is where we are saying that once, in the wisdom of the minister, the technical committee's work was very necessary and urgent, and the committee has finished its work and submitted its recommendation, we should look at the recommendation of the technical committee and address those concerns and not to stick to the various entrenched positions.
All right, so you speak of these entrenched positions. Of course, you are willing to negotiate. What has been the conclusion thus far? You say some agreement has been arrived at. What has been agreed upon so far?
At the technical committee level, financial engineering was put to the various proposals that came to the table. There was 8% from government and another one between 8 and 12%. Another one, there were about 5 different options. The financial engineering was put to all of these. And then at the end of the day, we made 2 recommendations. And the recommendations are that, 1, government should consider approving or granting 10% non-basic allowance to student members in the public university based on our 2020 salary level. And there was also another of 16% based on 2019 salary level. So these are the proposals we have submitted to the ministry. But the indications, the feedback that we appear to be getting is that apart from that 8% that was offered us way back in January by the Chief of Staff, there is not even a 0.01% that government is going to add to it. Then we say, so why did we, excuse my language, waste everybody's time in constituting a technical committee to bring recommendations? So these are our bills.
Okay, so it would appear, Mr. Kranche, that the exercise so far has been a waste of time if what government proposed initially is not going to be added upon. What if I may ask you, is the baseline percentage that TIL would be willing to go by? You're saying that the 18% you proposed is not an entrenched position. Government proposed 8%. What is a baseline percentage that TIL would be willing to go by?
Brother, thank you. We were part of the technical committee, okay? And the technical committee now agreed on 2 percentages, 10 and 15. 10 based on 2020 salary level, 15 based on 2019 salary level. So any of these is okay with things. And so you can see we have shifted from our original position of 18% on 2018 salary level to where we are now, 10% on 2020 salary level or 15% 2019 salary level. We have shifted. And if any of these two recommendations are adopted, and I'm sure TIL members will be more than satisfied.
And to be more specific, I'm very certain that TIL would subscribe to a 15% increment, while, of course, government might lean towards the lower end, which is 10%. But clearly, anything in between would be good for you. Thank you very much, Mr. Kranche.
Yes.
Right. Thank you so much for engaging us, and we wish you all the best in the negotiations. That is Mr. Kranche, actually, who is General Secretary of TIL. Now, on to our next story. The call for a new constitution has been received with mixed reactions. Members of Fix the Country have for some time now been pushing for a total overhaul of the 1992 Constitution, saying it has outlived its relevance. The group has actually started a campaign to gather 1 million votes to aid its cause. This morning on the AM show, this campaign was put to the test. Lawyer Bobby Banson, renowned HR practitioner Dr. Hazel Amwa, and political scientist Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante all shared what they think should be changed in the 1992 Constitution.
I think first and foremost, what we would have to see change is the mindset of the political elite.
All right.
We would not have much of a problem as a people if, despite the failings, as it were, as we are calling some of the provisions in the Constitution, the mindset of those in office, as you rightly put it, is that of a servant nature. And so imagine the legislature saying, members of Parliament saying that, listen, we feel the hunger in our constituencies. We know our people do not have food, they do not have water, they do not have schools. And so we would refuse to take increment in salaries, or even though the executive is proposing it. Imagine the president saying that all members of his government should not take salary increment for 4 years, or whatever money that would have been used for salary increment. Each member of his government should use it for a particular project. We do not have to wait for a pandemic to say that we are refusing increment in wages or we are not taking salaries. Majority of Ghanaians are suffering. We live under the below the minimum wage capital. And so if those in government have the means to make life better for us, I think if they start from that end, there will be a less clamor for a change in the Constitution. Because as has been said, the most important thing is the fact that we do not see development. We only see the provisions in the Constitution being used to better the stakes of those who are in office. So if the Constitution remains as it is, but we see development in the hands of the ordinary Ghanaian, then there will be less clamor. Singapore has had the same Constitution for over 60 years or 50 years. They've never, they have a national development plan that, irrespective of the political party in power, you cannot change it. And so I was there sometime and I didn't even know they were having elections. There was no rally, nothing. Because what is the new thing you are going to say? Everything that you would do has already been set out for you long ago. So I think that beyond that, we should focus on the national development plan And instead of changing, then we have the National Development Commission. So instead of changing the constitution of that commission every 4 years or whenever there's a change of political office, I think that it should also be given that level of independency so that they come up with a long-term agenda made up, which will be agreed upon from all persons from the political divide. Every person should contribute. Let us give our politicians the agenda that they must follow, so that when we vote you into office, one party cannot come and say that Vision 2020, and another party will come and say that Ghana Beyond Aid. Which is which? And so if we have a national development plan that is set up by the National Development Commission, which exists, without any political interference, and say that we are giving ourselves 25 or 30 or 50-year national development plan, which cannot be amended by any political party without a referendum.
I would strongly recommend that in reviewing the Constitution, doesn't mean we are changing the Constitution, but let's at least have a second look at the Constitution, page by page, in the current context, look at what is working, and see how we can, learn from how multinationals are working, how corporate institutions are surviving and getting accountability for resources and getting things done. I'm not sure if we go that route, we will actually fail. So a review is important. But who are those reviewing the Constitution? I would even open it up to say beyond legal brains. Let's bring the political scientists, the corporate brains, and other people who are quite well read, that in reviewing the Constitution, if you're looking at how we review compensation of all civil servants, let's have a guideline that says it's about cost of living adjustments, about inflation as a major guideline. And once upon a time or once in a while, let's review the whole salary structure to say that where are the gaps and why do we have these gaps? And does it make sense to have these gaps? Because when there is dissatisfaction and people are upset about conditions of service, there's an uproar. We are sitting on a time bomb that we have to bear mindful of.
Strictly speaking, I think that provision that calls for the president appointing people as MMDCs must go. It must go straight away, so that we will elect the people who will be the leaders in the constituency. That is a big impediment when we are looking at development from the grassroots. So currently, if you look at the constitutional architecture, there are a lot of powers in the hands of the president. One way by which we can beat it down is through that area. There is also that law that touches on the winner-takes-all system, which I think we should take a second look at that issue and get it fixed. You touch on the issue of Council of State. I have a different view.
All right.
I believe that that body must be scrapped and then put or established as a second chamber. If you look at the wealth of the caliber of people and their wealth of experience, the best place to put them as a second chamber, where they can go there as people who have not been elected or appointed. And we have examples all over the world. The British House of Lords is a typical example where you have these retirees who are experienced people who can go and shape laws for the country. Because currently, when you look at the Council of State, it's just an advisory body. And I believe that if we want to make the best out of this group of people that we have, we should put them as a second chamber. We'll put them in a second chamber so that they can really give us their last national service for this country.
Let's talk electoral reform now. And the National Democratic Congress says the Electoral Commission's suggestion to the party to table its proposed electoral reforms before the Inter-Party Advisory Committee is unfounded. According to General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Asiedun-Ketia, the party is shocked at the position of the EC because it had promised to look at its reforms and take a decision, only to hear in the media that the EC says they should go to IPAC. At a news conference to discuss their reforms, Mr. Asiedun-Ketia said the party cannot go to IPAC because the platform of IPAC itself is problematic and requires immediate fixing.
If you are sick with a lighter ailment and you are advised to go to a hospital that is COVID infested, what will be your reaction? Part of our suggestion is to reform IPAC and take it back to the original reasons why IPAC was set up. So if it is adopted, everybody will go to IPAC to find resolution. But if the IPAC is not delivering on the reasons why it was established, it will amount to plowing the sun, if you ask me to go back to IPAC. And of all the people who are suggesting the IPAC route, none of them amuses me more than that which was coming from the commission itself. Have you noted the number of times that the commission has told political parties that IPAC is toothless? IPAC cannot suggest anything to them. They have absolute independence. So is it the same commission that is saying that now let us go to that useless body to discuss what? And what will the outcome represent? So electoral commission never ceases to amuse some of us, honestly. On one hand, they will say IPAC cannot dictate anything to us. And when we are saying the population that put you there, let us discuss these things and let's get them implemented, we are still calling that we should go back to IPAC. When they said they were not working with IPAC, and they established the committee of eminent persons. Fortunately, the chairman of our committee is from the committee of eminent persons, and I'm sure he may wish to call a meeting at which these proposals will be tabled.
Let's go now to the Ashanti region, where a typhoid vaccine trial has commenced at Agogo in the Asante-Akim North District following approval by the Food and Drugs Authority. The trial is targeting at least 26,000 children in the Asante-Akim North and Central districts. The research is expected to generate data to consolidate safety of the product for the management of typhoid fever in Africa.
The project, funded by the European Developing Countries Clinical Trials Partnership and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, seeks to assess the effectiveness of a typhoid conjugate vaccine, TCV, through 2 clinical studies in Ghana. It is meant to support the introduction of TCV into routine immunization programs in typhoid endemic countries in Africa. Principal investigator on the project, Professor Yao Edusa Akodie, said the area was chosen for the study due to the level of disease burden.
We've worked in this Agogo Asante-Akim committee for a long time. The vaccine trial is being held in the Asante-Akim North and Central communities. We've worked there for a long time, over 10 years, looking at the burden of typhoid fever, looking at the microorganism that causes typhoid fever, looking at its antimicrobial character, looking at its genome. There's a lot we've done over the past years. So today we are continuing with the whole typhoid study with this vaccine trial. We are enrolling 23,000 participants between 9 months and 15 years. Okay, because when we worked here in this community with the party, we realized that it was within this particular group that the burden of typhoid fever was high. So we are recruiting that many children, 23,000 of them. Okay, and we are going to follow them for 3 years.
A clinical pharmacologist in charge of pharmacovigilance, Professor Kwame Oheneboaben, dispelled the notion the vaccine poses risk to participants.
So the purpose of this phase 4, here is to gather data, to consolidate the safety of the product. And then after that, when we are very much assured, of that, then just like my senior said, it can be rolled on the EPI. We have adequate, data, to suggest that this product can be used. But it's not the first, it's not the first time that this is actually being used. It's actually being done elsewhere. But on Africa, we don't have, that much information. So I think this is really wonderful opportunity, for us to be involved in this trial. So basically, that's about it. The safety is assured.
Reporting for JoyNews, Kwesi Deborah.
Staying in the Ashanti region, the people of shiasu constituency have received an office to address developmental issues in the community. The office, which is the brainchild of the Member of Parliament for the area, Dr. Stephen Amwa, also seeks to bridge the relationship between government and constituents. It will channel concerns from the community to government. There's more in this report.
Dr. Amoah has therefore set up a non-partisan 7 subcommittees to ensure the realization of these objectives. The committees are the homecoming, security, welfare and youth development. The rest are technical skill, education and environment. The office will run from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. each day. Their activities will be overseen by the Central Development Committee.
The rationale behind this is to create interactive interface between the government and the people in the constituency. It's always been very tedious and cumbersome for the community people to actually get their grievances, concerns and questions to the central government. So we are providing this piece of work so that between Mondays and Fridays, 8 and 5 o'clock, there will be permanently run administration for the people. That somebody will be here, we have a number. Our website is about 99% complete. The people will not have any reason to say that there is this problem, I can't get anybody to talk to. So we are creating this interface for interaction between the people and the government. And God has been good to us. We've been able to do it. And anytime anybody has a concern, either in a form of suggestion or question or complaint, the person has been shown where to go. The telephone number is there. It will be run probably 24/7. Just that when we are closing, we'll have to put it off. It's electronic type. But I can tell you that this is the first time that we are having this piece of work for any constituency in Ghana that I know. I could be wrong. We want to set up a model constituency. We are launching committees today. You'll be there. Environment Committee, Youth Development Committee, Health Committee, Homecoming and Development Fair Committee, so that we can leverage the corporate entities in share, so their corporate social responsibilities for them to help us in the area of education and other socio-economic needs of the people. So this is where they operate their administration. So today we call you here to witness and be part of this and to also sell this to the public.
Reporting for JoyNews, Kwesi Deborah.
From Kumasi, we move now to the Bono East region, where the Techiman Circuit Court, presided over by His Lordship Justice Alexander Graham, has sentenced the 19-year-old Motor King driver to 30 years imprisonment. The convict, Bawa Ebenezer, a resident of Nsuta near Techiman, was arrested on Saturday for allegedly robbing 2 students of Yabua Iswama SHS at about 3:35 a.m. in their room. Anas Sabit was in court and came through with this report.
Bawa Ebenezer is a 19-year-old motorcane rider and a resident of Nsuta, a suburb of Techiman in the Bono East region. He was arrested after he forcefully robbed the complainants with a pair of scissors at about 3:35 a.m. on Saturday, August 21. Prosecuting Officer Inspector Emmanuel Kudal narrates to JoyNews how the incident happened.
This is a case of armed robbery, which happened on the 21st of August 2021. The accused person is a tricycle rider, and the complainants are students. The accused person attacked them whilst they were sleeping in their room with a pair of scissors for them to handle their personal belongings to him.
The Techiman Circuit Court, presided over by His Lordship Justice Alexander Graham, sentenced him to 30 years imprisonment after pleading guilty simpliciter.
The case came to court, and the plea of the accused person was taken. He pleaded guilty simpliciter. And because of the speed and the increase of robbery in this environment, the court deemed it fit to give them sentence that would deter others from committing the same offense. So in this circumstance, the court in all reason gave them 30 years on count 2, 3 years on count 1, and 30 years on count 4. The sentence are to run concurrently.
One of the victims, a final year student of the Yabua Iswama Senior High School, narrates to JoyNews how the convict threatened to kill herself and her roommate if they both failed to hand over their valuable items to him.
On the 21st of August 2021, It was raining heavily when we were asleep in our room. So we had a knock at our door, window rather. So we thought it was the rain. So later on, some few minutes, we just heard a big barge. Then the guy just barged into our room. Then he said, "Bring your phones and your money. If not, I'll kill you. Bring your phones and your money. If not, I'll kill you." So with the fear, we gave him our phones, then our money. Then he tried to do something nasty. So me too, I interrupt. We were struggling. Then he used the scissors to cut my hands.
For these victims, the memory of the said incident has been tormenting as they have to stop sleeping in their room.
From that day, we haven't been sleeping in that room. We've left the room. We've changed to different house. And before I go to bed, I will just be sitting down and I'll just be imagining how it happened and what he did and all those stuff. So when I lie down, then I just hear a knock cry. I'll just get up. The fear is still in me. Yes.
Mukarama is, however, content with the ruling and asks that the sentence is capable of sanitizing the system.
Yes, I'm fine, because he said, if you don't give me your money or your phone, I will kill you. So assuming we didn't give him, he would have killed us. Yes, so me, I'm fine. If people who were having the intention to do that, if you are someone who has conscience, you won't do. Yes, you won't do it again, because you'll be thinking, if I do, this is what happened to this person will happen to me. So you won't do. Yes.
From the Techiman Circuit Court for Joy News, I am Anas Sabit reporting.
Now from the Bono East region, let's move further up to the Northeast region, where living conditions of some persons with disability in East Mamprusi are getting worse following the continued delay by the Assembly to release and disburse the mandatory disability fund to its beneficiaries in the municipality. The beneficiaries have not been paid their share of the Common Fund since 2018, though the Common Fund Secretariat has regularly been paying money into the Municipal Disability Fund, with the Assembly authorities claiming they are unable to access the funds due to a financial crisis facing the local bank. The situation is said to have increased the suffering of the beneficiaries as they have been left with no form of social protection and are now having to resort to begging for alms to survive with their families. Here's a report put together by correspondent Shiasu.
I'm sick. I had a stroke sickness since 4th April 2021 up to now. It's not yet cured.
Barry Pahama Apam is a 48-year-old former lotto agent and native of the Northeast Regional Capital. He has had one of his legs paralyzed since his teenage years after suffering post-polio syndrome. His condition left him with a long-term physical impairment and hindered his full and effective participation in society as he became incapable of gainful employment, which is why he became a beneficiary of the Disability Common Fund in that municipality. But even before that, Apam, who had refused to be limited by his condition, was already a local lotto agent, serving a huge customer base scattered across from the Nalirugu township to nearby villages. However, on the 1st of April this year, Apam became completely paralyzed, rendering him permanently ineffective to participate in any socio-economic activities.
That day I went to our MP house to greet him for his son funeral, and at that place the singer attacked me and they just took me to the hospital. Up to now, I went to the hospital. They told me that they say I was good tamale and I don't have money, and I wrote a letter to the district assembly to help me so that I can go there and see how my sickness is. Up to now, they didn't give me anything.
Being a beneficiary of the Disability Common Fund, Apam has written multiple times to the East Mamprusi Municipal Assembly asking for immediate assistance to be treated, but to no avail.
They paid me on 2018. Up to now, 2019, I couldn't get. 2020, nothing. 2021. And because of the sickness, I wrote to them. They didn't listen to me. So I was using what I have and take myself up to now. But I'm now short. I don't have anything again. So I told them to help me. But after they did, they say that if I win, they say no money, no money. The conference not yet come.
The Disability Common Fund is a social protection program aimed at alleviating poverty among persons with disabilities in Ghana. However, beneficiaries of the program in the East Mampresi municipality have not benefited from the initiative since 2018. The Municipal Assembly authorities are yet to explain the reason for the delays except to blame the situation on a financial crisis facing the local bank. As a result, dozens of beneficiaries like APAM now live in deplorable conditions, with most of them turning to begging on the streets and other public areas as the only option to survive.
I always begging. I always call those my friends. I know they should help me. So that people are helping me so. And the women I was in the market taking duty for them. They are also used to help me so. Up to now, many people are suffering like me. Yes, because disabled have many. And I know because I was a chairman, I know them. They will also have suffering. Because some usually feel tears. Some are just on the ground. They are suffering. But if they talk, they don't listen to them.
Apam was rushed to hospital in Nalirgu in April when he suffered a stroke attack and was subsequently referred to the Tamale Teaching Hospital. However, the father of four couldn't afford it and is currently being managed at home after the assembly failed to respond to his several requests for assistance. Apam is very indicative about his current condition, that he is losing his life, and appealed to the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection to intervene.
I want to tell them that they should try their best. Their daughter, their brother had died, so she saved my life for me. If they save a life for me, they save everything. Because I also have children. If I die now, the children will suffer.
Ilyas Sutanko reporting.
Well, from that sad story, we move to a happy one where love in its simplicity is pure and unconditional. In the story, Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin talks about two lovers who are defying all odds and moving shoulder to sell coconuts on the streets of Kwadaso, a suburb of Kumasi. The pain of poverty and the uncertainties about the future don't discourage their enthusiasm to live together.
My name is Samuel Kofi Mensah. I locally known as Nyameche, Kofi Nyameche, yes, please. I'm from Mabredunka, let me say, but I was born in Eastern region, sorry. That is Achem, yeah.
My name is Amwako Esther. I am 22 years. I completed Tridium Senior High School. I was working with Grand Mall at Peki.
China for Grand Mall.
Even on the streets, Esther Amwako and Samuel Kofi Mensah don't conceal their mutual love. They are just 22 and 24 years old, respectively.
True.
They have both completed senior high school, but were unable to continue because of financial difficulties. But how did Esther and Samuel meet?
Actually, I was having a best friend then when I was staying at Asafo. So my best friend was dating her younger sister. So I saw a post or a picture of them together. And then I told the girlfriend that, oh no, this is your senior sister, I want to be with her. And she was like, some nigga did something bad to her, so she doesn't want to date again. Then I talked to her and said, oh, okay, for me, I will let you have belief in men.
The mama de penalty say, or a hard work or pay Juma.
I like him because he's hardworking. He does everything he can for a living. He also treats me so nicely.
A strong relationship requires choosing to love each other, even in moments when you struggle to love yourselves.
Nyamecha has been with me through thick and thin. I don't like keeping sugar daddies. We do not know the source of their wealth, and these sugar daddies can kill you.
Sugar daddy now
Both of them worked with two different organizations. Samuel received 400 cedis, whereas Esther had an income of 750 cedis. But as the love bears were getting much stronger in strengthening their financial capabilities, a storm hit. Both were fired the same day.
And one sad truth was, when I was laid out from the company, my wife was, my girlfriend was also laid out the same very day. She was also laid out, and then the story was so sad. The story was she was given 272 cedis for laying her out, and then me, I wasn't given anything, so I wasn't having any penny in my account. And then I talked to my woman, and my girlfriend, and then she was like, oh, so what are we going to do about this? I wasn't having anything in my account. My momo, I was even owing MTM momo. I was owing them. And then the girl was having 230 in her account. And then she was giving that 272 too. So, father. So in surplus, she was having 402 cedis or something, and then due to that, we just need to withdraw the money so we can start with new business.
They dedicate a lot of their time on the streets selling coconut to further their education.
We're planning and then helping each other so we can save more to further her education. She says she wants to further to nursing training or nursing college or something. But then I prefer university because that one is a degree, not a diploma. So, yo, Nana.
If things become better for us, Nyamecha should not make any mistake of betraying me. I would not want to see him going for another woman. We have struggled together.
Chamai. But for me, no, because I'm willing even to die for this lady. I actually like her and I love her so much. I would never, and this will be a testimony. This will be actually one of the biggest testimony ever in the world. I'm gonna watch over her. I will actually marry her so soon, very soon, before she even continues her education. And then I promise her firstly, so I'm not gonna like go just beyond or go out of their business.
Though their relationship is only 3 years old, the lady says it is more profound to help her man to grow in wealth than to drain him into poverty.
It is said that loving and being loved unconditionally means taking a leap of faith. So the measure of love is to love without measure.
That is why Esther and Samuel have been lovers unconditionally, and the greatest gift they want to give each other is the space to be themselves without the threat of any of them leaving. A report by Mohammed Nuruddin.
Well, on that beautiful note, we take a break for business. Do stay.
Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. A dairy expert, Professor Felix Ankuma Asante, has indicated the sector has the potential to create equitable wealth and make Ghana food secure if it's industrialized. According to him, investing in dairy production would also lead to more jobs, improve nutrition, especially during these times of the COVID-19 pandemic. He spoke at the virtual launch of the 5th year anniversary of the Dairy Research Improvement and Innovation Consortium at the University of Ghana.
The potential to create equitable wealth in dairy is therefore a possibility for both males and females, an outcome that will meet the SDG for gender equality. There are opportunities to generate clean energy from digesting the manure obtained from dairy animals. This provides methane gas that can be used to power generators, to chill milk and keep the cold chain. Although feasible, this area has yet to be explored and expanded in Ghana, but will certainly lead to achieving SDG 7, that is affordable and clean energy. Building sustainable consumption and production of the nation's food will ensure food security, and industrialization is one of the surest ways to achieve this. Thus, the SDGs 9 and 12 are linked when considering sustainable dairy. Large global brands such as Funmilk, Danone, Passimo, Nestle, DSM, amongst others, all have one thing in common, and it is dairy. These industries provide jobs and good nutrition that is accessible to consumers around the world. It is possible for Ghana to build sustainable dairy industries that allow innovation and infrastructure development to promote sustainable production and consumption of milk.
In other news, wildlife hunting and bushmeat trade are major economic activities in parts of Africa, serving as a source of income for many. But forest habitats are severely threatened when animals are over-harvested as tropical forest animal species are depleted. Now, here in Ghana, management interventions have led to the imposition of a ban on hunting wildlife from August 1 to December 1, 2021. Though the business of bushmeat traders has been affected, the Wildlife Division of the Forestry Commission says it is to allow the animal population to recover. Love FM's Mona Lisa Frimpong has more in this report.
Bushmeat contributes significantly to food security. However, its hunting is unsustainable and causes a decline and elimination of larger-bodied species. With the exception of grass cutters, all animals are banned from being harvested in Ghana. Prices of bushmeat on the market are up following the closed season as demand for bushmeat increases. Some traders dread the impact of the closed season on their livelihood.
Our
bushmeat is stocked in our fridges. We are appealing to the authorities to allow us sell it off. Individuals traveling outside purchase it a lot. Unfortunately, we cannot get some for them. In Ghana, the bushmeat industry generates about 870 million cedis in revenue every year. But the government does not benefit enough as traders evade payment of taxes. George Rekombrobe is chairman of the Game Traders Association.
From 2010 to 2018, we're looking at about, for 8-year period, looking at about $350 million in the bushmeat trade. These numbers are, new ones are going to come out, but we do know that it's quite significant. So if there's any income to the government, it will be significant, especially to the Forestry Commission and to the tax system for Ghana.
The increased commercialism and demand in bushmeat shows that urgent action needs to be taken to raise awareness to local people. Dr. Zieka Meyir is wildlife veterinarian and resident manager of the Kumasi Zoological Gardens. He warns that failure to take action will result in a decline of wildlife.
Ghana's wildlife population is actually going down, and we need to all come together to take measures to make sure that we revive our wildlife resources. The local wildlife trade actually is concentrated on the bushmeat trade, and this season, which we call the close season to hunting, harvesting and destroying of wildlife, is actually to sensitize the major stakeholders in that value chain.
Bushmeat is generally an important source of food and income in most cultures. If the animal populations are allowed to recover, there will be a boom in the bushmeat industry. Mona Lisa Frimpong reporting.
And that's business. Sports is coming up next.